mm sounds in Japanese. Unlock the mystery. Did you know that the Japanese sound actually has multiple pronunciations? Many native speakers may not be aware of this fact. This is because native speakers subconsciously use different sounds and recognize them as the same sound. For example, 本当、天ぷら、暗記. These are all different sounds. Since this usage is unconscious, many native speakers will not notice if you mispronounce n. However, a better understanding of the pronunciation of n will make Japanese easy to pronounce, and it will deepen and enrich your understanding of the Japanese language. Now, let's unlock the mystery of n. Three main sounds. Different books and articles classify the sound of n in different ways. Some say there are 3 types, some say 6, and others even more. But no matter how they categorize them, these 3 main sounds are always included. So, let's start with these. The voiced alveolar nasal. This is the most common pronunciation, like N in English and Nun in Arabic. If you can pronounce these sounds, you will be able to communicate with native speakers. When N is followed by T, D, N, R, or Z, N is pronounced as a voiced alveolar nasal. For example, Hunter, Honda, 案内、連絡、混雑. Next is the voiced bilabial nasal. The sound is like M in English and meme in Arabic. When N is followed by sounds generated by closing lips like P, B, or M, N is pronounced as a voiced bilabial nasal to make it easy to pronounce. For example, 天ぷら、トンボ、サンマ. The third is the voiced filler nasal. This sound is like NG in English and Indonesian. The voiced filler nasal is found in the English word king and the Indonesian word mungkin. It is similar to the N sound, but your tongue tip does not touch anything. Instead, the back of your tongue touches the soft part of the roof of your mouth. When N is followed by a third sound like K or G, N is pronounced as a voiced filler nasal to make it easy to pronounce. For example, 人気、番号. Bonus mystery. There are even more subtle variations depending on speed, dialect, and personal speaking style. The knowledge I am about to share is not absolutely necessary for learning Japanese, but It may enrich your experience with the Japanese language. The voiced uvular nasal. This sound is unique to Japanese and doesn't exist in English, but you can try making an NG sound like in king and then pulling your tongue further back. However, native speakers will not notice this sound if it is replaced by the N sound. When N is at the end of the word, N tends to be pronounced with the voiced uvular nasal because it is easy to pronounce. For example, 本、番、カバン. Next is the voiced palatal nasal. This sound is like GN in Italian and ñ in Spanish. The voiced palatal nasal is found in the Italian word baño and the Spanish word mañana. When N is followed by ni, N is pronounced as a voiced palatal nasal to make it easy to pronounce. For example, こんにゃく、筋肉. Some may find the pronunciation of N very confusing, but don't worry. Even if you pronounce every N with an N sound, it won't affect communication. In fact, many native speakers often don't even notice these subtle differences ourselves. And moreover, even experts don't always agree on the exact number of N sounds. So, if you ever feel confused, don't worry, you're not alone. So, perfection is not required. Take it easy and enjoy the Japanese language. Summary. N has three main sounds. Before T, D, N, R, or Z, N is pronounced as an N sound. Before P, B, or M, N is pronounced as an M sound. Before K or G, N is pronounced as an NG sound. And in addition, other sounds exist, but don't be too perfectionist. Here are the references I used. You can also find them in the video description. Thank you for watching.